Good afternoon, everyone, and welcome. I'm Brent Lakeman. I'm the Director of the Hydrogen Initiative at Edmonton Global. I'd like to start by acknowledging that we are hosting this event on Treaty 6 territory, a traditional meeting grounds, gathering place, and traveling route to the Cree, Saulteaux, Blackfoot, Métis, Dene, and Nakota Sioux. We acknowledge all the many First Nations, Métis, and Inuit whose footsteps have marked these lands for centuries. Edmonton Global is the regional economic development organization for the Edmonton metropolitan region. Our focus is on attracting foreign investment, helping our regional businesses export with the world, and improving the region's global competitiveness. Edmonton Global is glad to be a partner in the Edmonton Region Hydrogen Hub because we see the opportunity that the hydrogen economy holds for our region, and we're looking forward to exploring this topic with all of you. But first, a couple of housekeeping details. You've all been muted and your videos have been disabled, but we strongly encourage you to submit questions for our panelists through the Q&A function of Zoom. We will do our best to address any questions during the roundtable portion of this event, and for any that we aren't able to get to. We will be following up with you after this event. We will also share a recording of the webinar and the presentation slides, so keep an eye on your email. The Edmonton Region Hydrogen Hub and partners like Alberta's Industrial Heartland Association, the Transition Accelerator, the Government of Canada's Trade Commissioner Service, and Invest Alberta Corporation team all provided support in planning this event. And these organizations are all great resources for companies looking to do business in China and other international markets. Today we'll learn about the approach being taken by China to advance its hydrogen economy, providing us with a better understanding of their economic and environmental priorities. With its large and rapidly growing economy, China is certainly a nation to watch, and its decisions will have a large impact on the hydrogen economy. We have an exciting panel of speakers from a diverse range of organizations who we will be introducing in a moment, but before doing so, I would like to turn the floor over to Her Worship, Alana Natu, Mayor of Sturgeon County, and also the Chair of the Leadership Committee for the Edmonton Region Hydrogen Hub. Go ahead, Mayor Natu.
Thank you very much, Brent, and greetings. Thank you for joining us today to learn more about China's hydrogen landscape and their market's need for low-cost, low-carbon hydrogen. Hydrogen may be the smallest molecule, but it has the potential to have a truly historical impact on the future of energy in our region, our province, and our country. Alberta's industrial heartland is among the world's lowest cost producers of low carbon hydrogen, and in fact, can be produced at about half the cost of diesel. With access to low cost natural gas, existing experience in hydrogen production, carbon capture and storage, as well as a vast network of pipeline infrastructure, a talent pool of engineers and tradespeople, and engaged industry, government, Indigenous, and academic leaders, the Edmonton region is well positioned to capture and maximize the hydrogen opportunity on every level. Hydrogen is redefining how we use our natural resources, and I am proud to say that my colleagues and I at the Edmonton Region Hydrogen Hub are working together to advance a shared goal of accelerating a strong pan-Canadian hydrogen economy and working towards a goal of making Canada a leading user and exporter of low-carbon hydrogen. We can achieve this through demand export markets rather. Today's experts from Blue G, New Energy Development Corporation, Grove Technology Hydrogen Fuel Cell, and the Minghua Energy Company will help us to understand where the potential lies and how Canada can take advantage of the tremendous export opportunity in hydrogen. At this time, I would like to thank Michelle Jette, Trade Commissioner with the Embassy of Canada to China, for joining us from Beijing and introducing our panelists. And it is our honor to welcome Consul General Lu Zhu, the Consul General of the People's Republic of China, who has graciously offered to make a few welcoming comments. Consul General Lu is committed to advancing bilateral, pragmatic cooperation and profound friendship between China and Canada. She is a friend to our region and is always ready to join hands to further enhance contacts and broaden cooperation. So thank you for joining us, Consul General Lu. Thank you.
Thank you, Mayor, Honorable Mayor, for the introduction. And good evening, everyone. I'm very happy to join you at this video conference. I'm so glad to see the friends for such a long time because we almost kept up ourselves at home for quite a long time under the pandemic. But thank you very much for the invitation. Edmonton Global has been committed to trade and investment promotion home and abroad. I hope Edmonton Global will take a leading role in promoting economic cooperation between China and Canada. Last year, China's GDP reached about 15 trillion US dollars with a growth rate of 2.3%, making it the only major economy in the world to achieve positive growth. In Q1 of this year, China's economy maintained a positive momentum with an aggregated GDP of 3.8 trillion US dollars, up 18% year on year. The aggregated goods imports and exports hit 1.3 trillion US dollars, up 29% year on year. As you all know, China has miraculously achieved an average 9.4% of annual economic growth for 40 years. One of the secrets was China seized the opportunity to actively participate in the international circulation and globalization. However, the 2008 US financial crisis changed everything. The sluggish global economic growth, rising counter-globalization and trade protectionism, the considerably weakened momentum of international circulation followed. The COVID-19 outbreak further deteriorated the world economy and threatened the security of the global production chain and supply chain. For the long-term benefit, China had to adjust its macroeconomic strategy in response to this change. Recently, China put forward the 14th Five-Year Plan and Vision 2035. Adjustment was planned to establish a dual circulation development pattern, in which the domestic economic circle plays a leading role, while the international economic circle remains its extension and supplement. The core of the dual circulation is to seize the opportunity of China's growing domestic consuming potentials and focus on expanding domestic demand, and improving the quality of industries to achieve a domestic supply and demand balance and a healthy economic circulation. Simultaneously, China sticks to reform and opening up so that the international economic circle can promote and supplement the domestic circulation. China running on dual circulation will keep its economy healthy in the years to come. This is also good news for Canada. On the one hand, China will continue to provide a large and stable market for Canada's energy, minerals, agriculture, forestry, technology, and other products. Great opportunities will also be present in areas that is complementary, such as information and communications, new energy, and environmental protection. On the other hand, Chinese families will seek culture and creative products, financial services of higher quality, better education, better Medicare and senior care, and more frequent overseas travel. Canada has an edge in all these fields. Talking about hydrogen, it will become one of the important components of the future energy regime in China, accounting for 10% in 2050, with the demand of 60 million tons. According to its hydrogen development strategy, China will develop a comprehensive hydrogen production chain with the upstream of hydrogen manufacturing, the midstream of storage and the logistics, as well as the downstream of application. China has formed 4 hydrogen production clusters in southern, western, northeastern, and southeastern parts of China. I'm very confident that China and Canada can both benefit from working together in this part. The consulate will encourage Chinese companies to invest in Alberta by introducing the latest economic development of the province, including Edmonton, featuring foreign investment initiatives. On top of that, we welcome Canadian businesses, including members of Edmonton Global, to invest and branch out businesses in China. Your next move will help advance economic and trade cooperation between the two countries. Thank you all once again for the invitation and hope you have a successful webinar. Thank you.
And we appreciate your comments and context around the Chinese economic situation. We would now like to turn it over to Michelle Jeté from the Canadian Trade Commissioner Service, who will be introducing our three speakers.
Okay, great. I think I'm unmuted now. Can everybody hear me okay? It's better. Okay. Thank you very much. So my name is Michelle Jeté, and I'm the team lead and trade commissioner at the Canadian Embassy in Beijing, responsible for clean tech, infrastructure, forestry, and responsible business conduct. I'm here today with my Tim Hortons coffee and my colleague Kevin Sway from the Invest Alberta Corporation, and work quite closely with Stacey Xiao, who I'm sure many of you know, as the Embassy's Trade Commissioner responsible for clean tech. So the Trade Commissioner Service has 15 offices in China with teams ready to support Canadian firms looking to do business in China. And I'm very, very pleased to be here today with our colleagues from Edmonton Global, and especially want to thank Mayor Natu and Consul General Liu for their comments. I agree. I think that Alberta and the Edmonton region in particular are doing some very interesting things in hydrogen. And I think that you'll see from our speakers and from the presentations that there is a lot going on in China with regards to China building up its own hydrogen ecosystem. And so with that, I'd like to introduce our first speaker, Mr. Ronald Lee, President of Blue G New Energy Science and Technology Corporation.
Is that okay now? Hello, everyone. Hello.
Yes, yeah, we can hear you.
Okay, okay. You mean I could start right now with my presentation?
Yes, go ahead.
Sure. Let me share my screen. Is that full screen now?
Yep, we can see it.
Okay. So first, thank you for the invitation from the Edmonton Global, and also for the Chinese Embassy in Alberta, and also for the Canadian Embassy in China. So today we're going to briefly cover the hydrogen market and the hydrogen development in China. In next 15 minutes, I'm going to cover 4 sections. The first section is regarding greenhouse and the carbon dioxide emission, and also the China's pledge for reduce the carbon dioxide emission. And the section 2 is regarding what hydrogen applications and alternatives, how to use those hydrogen in our economy. The third part is regarding the hydrogen plan, how to use those new form of energy in our industry and the daily life. And section 4 regarding the business partnership and business opportunities. So let's go on. So here is we all will know already about the global climate change and the greenhouse gases emission. So here is a situation we all face on, and totally globally energy-related carbon dioxide emission in now 2021 years is reached 33 gigatons. The pretty much seriously for the warming up. So here we see the red color representing the advanced countries' emission about carbon dioxide, and here is the green-orange color representing the rest of the world. Here we see how carbon dioxide emission distribution. We see now here, the data is a little bit early from the 2018, but still representing the situation. And China, we're facing on the emission distribution about 30% in total, 30% among the total. Here is 5 of the top 10 coal generating countries. Among the top 10, 5 of them have already pledged the carbon neutrality. Here we signed recently, I think it's the last September in 2020, China pledged to reduce the commitment to carbon neutrality by the year for 2016. Here is a very meaningful because China played a major role in the carbon dioxide reduction. Here is like 50%, about 50%. And up to now, there are total 72 other countries have already planned the carbon neutrality by 2050. And here we know about the 2 words, actually 2 terms. One is a peg emission of carbon dioxide. The other is carbon neutrality. So we see like in last September 22, 2020, China announced the commitment. And the 2 commitments, number 1 is to reach the peak by the 2030, and number 2, get neutrality by 2060. Now we go on the more details. We see what the carbon neutrality means to China. There is a big commitment and big task. Here we see on the left, we see about 50% of the emission is coming from the coal. You see the green color, the dark green. And here's by the 2016. And also for the emission from the carbon dioxide by the burning of the coal, it's reduced to 5%. So now from the 2 pictures in the diagram, we see how big the commitment will be, and which means that China need to greatly reduce all the emissions from the combustion of the coal. From this picture, we also see to reach the goal, we need to about 75% of electricity production must be used energy from renewable energy, such as wind, solar, and hydro, and also nuclear. Now let's sum up for this section. Number 1, fossil fuel currently count for 85% of China's energy mix. Number 2, failure of adjusting to the energy transition could prove costly for Chinese economy when considering growth costs for the carbon tariff or the carbon border tax adjustment. Number 3, achieving the neutrality by 2060 could yield over 100 trillion yuan in the investment over the next 30 years before higher margin of industry manufacturer and increasingly in standard setting. Number 4, China right now played the leading role, used renewable energy. China supplies 42% of the world's wind turbines and 76% of our world's solar modulars. Number 5, the pledge is a momentary tool. It's still a general principle rather than the details roadmap. So in the next years, effort will be focused on industry that will be driving the transformation, renewable energy, and electric. Now we move on to section 2, how China implemented the pledge, which means the hydrogen get involved. The China's hydrogen neutrality pathway, we see the pathway here from the power industry and from non-power industry related. If we go to power industry, we need to do the 2 things. One is to use the renewable energy maximally, which means by the wind power, by solar power, by energy storage. And here we skip the other part of the carbon capture sales. And for the non-power industry, we will be focused on the hydrogen cooling carbon exchange. Here we're going to skip. For China's carbon neutrality pathway, there will be 4 major applications. Number 1, adoption of clean energy alternatives to the traditional fuels. Replace the traditional fuels like coal, gases, etc. Number 2, electric energy substitution will be used to replacing the combustion, chemical emission, etc. Number 3, China will focus right now on the electrolyzer. The total electrolyzer installed will be 8,400 metric tons per year by 2030, which is a huge, means from now on to the year 2030, I mean in 9 years time, 9 years year period, we're going to times 30,500 times what we have now. Number 4, the total investment will be over the Chinese dollar, what I mean the renminbi, will be the 100 trillions, and will be the US dollar 15 trillions equivalent. So now we move to the section 3, hydrogen applications and alternatives. How hydrogen can be used. So hydrogen can be acted in 3 categories. Number 1 is an energy carrier. In this category, hydrogen itself is not energy, but rather energy carrier. So like we use the fuel cell, we use the power to gas, and we use the Massillon reformer, and we blend the hydrogen into the natural gas grid. So category 2, the hydrogen will be acted as the raw material. So like e-fuels, like chemical industry from ammonia and Massillon to replace the natural gas. Is a category 3 is a process gas in the steel and the glass productions, and a lot of hydrogen can be used to replace in the metalworking and semiconductor industry. And here is how the China used the hydrogen-related market in the scale of 2020, which means right now. And China right now have a fuel cell vehicle, different kind of vehicle around road, reaches 6,000 already, and development will be scaled up very rapidly. China right now already have the hydrogen fueling stations number in operation is 101. In China, have already the fuel cell stack and the system production lines, more than 10. And China has already have key parts like the MEA and the bipolar plate. So more than 500 parts production lines. And also China right now have 10 about alkaline electrolyzer companies with a production capacity around 250 megawatt electrolyzer production. Here is scaling up by the year 2030, which means 9 years after. The China, the fuel cell vehicles, different kind of vehicles, and the marine application will be greater than 1.5 million. In China's hydrogen fueling station were greater than 1,000. In China's fuel cell and the system production were greater than 2 million pieces of the system, and also covering all kinds of the hydrogen deployments. And for the electrolyzer production by renewable energy, we're scaled up to 3,500 times to totally 875 gigawatt. Now, not only for the application already, and China right now is aiming to the new push on the new hydrogen applications, such as for hydrogen electrolyzer from solar and the wind, which is we use electrolyzer by the PEM technology, by alkaline, and by SOFC. Here, like I mentioned 1 minute ago, will be 3,500 times, reach the 875 gigawatt. And here is a hydrogen used to replace coal in the steel manufacturing. And when we know 85% of carbon dioxide reduced for 1 billion megaton steel takes about 100 billion megaton hydrogen. Another applications, new applications, of hydrogen burning replacing other fossil fuels. Here's we blending 10% of hydrogen with other fuels. We're going to use the existing natural gas grid for transportation, etc. So, which means that China right now focus on and push the new path to reduce the carbon dioxide by new application of the hydrogen. When we talk about the hydrogen application, so cost related closely, very much closely. Now for time, because time is very limited for today, it's only 15 minutes, I'm going to list some of the costs in some of the hydrogen products to give you the concept, to give you the idea roughly what costs for the hydrogen application right now. For instance, we got the solar electricity. Right now, the cost level in Chinese solar, I mean, renminbi, will be per kilowatt hour will be 10 cents to 20 cents. For the wind electricity, the cost will be the 20 cents per kilowatt hour to 30 cents kilowatt hour, so on and so on. So I'm going to leave this documentation to the admin global and to the Canadian Embassy for any of you would like to know the details, you can check out with them. So I'm not going to list them one by one from beginning to after. And one of the important things I would like to mention is for cost for electrolyzer. For the alkaline electrolyzer, where we per station, per station, for capacity of 1,000 normal cubic meter per hour. For this kind of production, for one standard station will be 12 million Chinese dollar. For the new technologies, the PEM electrolyzer, right now will be the 60 million per station, which can be expected to reduce greatly if we have going to mass production. Now we move to the last section, computation and partnership regarding the market and the business opportunities. Before we go the details of what kind of a format for cooperation and opportunities, better we briefly compare the advantage and the disadvantage regarding what advantage in Canada, what advantage in China. So in Canada, we have a more advanced technology level. So for also the front edge leading technology, such as the PAM, such as the fuel cell, we have some of the world leading companies in Canada. So closer in the front edge technology. And also the Canada have a more experiences on hydrogen research and hydrogen development, which I mentioned that there will be there are a few world leading companies in BC, in Alberta, in Toronto, in Ontario, and in Quebec. Also, Canada have a more commercial investment sources and a lower cost. Here is an advantage in Canada. For advantage in China, first we have the market value and the scale. Actually, it's the world biggest market there. Therefore, we have a more business opportunities. And also, China has an infrastructure, manufacture, and the production skill, so stronger. And also have a manufacturing and labor cost relatively lower. And also we have government support and the subsidy level in Chinese government is stronger in the world right now in terms of the hydrogen amplification. So bearing in mind, we have an advantage and that we have a disadvantage in comparison between the two countries. Now we estimate we could have such category of the partnership opportunities. One is a technology license in R&D and in production. And also Canada companies can provide engineering services in manufacturing. We already have some of the examples, such as the company in BC, the Bala Power System, and a company in Ontario, Hydrogenics. They already done several projects in China. And also we could consider the joint venture partnership based on the license or based on the investment. And also we have a chances to export equipment and the materials. Many of the Canadian companies have done so, such as the Green Line in Canada. And also we could consider the equity shareholder transfer or acquisition of enterprises or it's a share. If you see the one of the specified industry, hydrogen industry area. And also you could do the directly investment, capital in the funds, or indirect investment, such as the leading business, and so on. So for very details, you could use the either Chinese embassies in Canada or the Canadian embassy in China is a bridge to help you to link the chances. Now, sum up, this is what we could briefly sum up what hydrogen market in China right now. For more details information, please refer to Edmonton Hydrogen, and also please refer to Chinese embassy in Canada and to the Canadian embassy in China. Thank you very much. Okay.
Thank you so much, Ronald. Thank you for lending your expertise and providing a very comprehensive overview of some of the things that are going on in China with regards to hydrogen. So our next speaker, Mr. Tony Guo, is the General Manager of Minghua Energy Company.
Okay, hello everyone. Can you hear me? Is everything okay?
Yeah, we can hear you fine.
Okay. Okay. Yeah. Hello, everyone. My name is Tony, the manager of Minghua Energy. It's my honor to join in today's webinar and share our experience of hydrogen energy with peers from Canada and China. This is the outline of my talk. First, I will give a brief introduction of Minghua Energy, followed by a quick review of our products, then come with some application cases. At the end of the talk, I would like to share some thoughts of the hydrogen industry in China. Minghua is a Minghua is a startup company founded in 2016 at Shanghai. We focus on multi-fuel reformer design and fuel cell system integration for power generation and combined heating and power systems. We've already developed 3 categories and 6 types of products. 3 categories here we mentioned here are based on the fuel cells stack technologies. They are PEM fuel cell, high temperature PEM fuel cell, and the solid oxide fuel cell. Most of our products are mainly for the stationary application. The way to keep getting the hydrogen securely is very important for the system. Reformer is one of the core components to implement it. Our reformer products are classified based on 3 factors. One is the fuel for making hydrogen, such as methane, methanol, diesel, gasoline, etc. The second one is the operation temperatures inside the reformer, normally around 200, 400, and 800 centigrade. Third is the purity of the hydrogen output. The range of the purity is from 75% to 99.999%, 59. Our 3rd generation reformer was optimized on hardware and software, which is more compact and works more reliable. With the high performance reformer, 2 types of fuel cell micro CHP system were developed by Minghua. One is the PEM fuel cell, one is the PEM micro CHP. The other one is the SFC micro CHP. The range of the output power of those micro CHP is from 1 kilowatts to 5 kilowatts. They are good for many renewable energy applications. Also, based on customers' requirement, we also developed the 1.5 fuel cell diesel generator and another larger one. This one is a 50 kilowatts SFC CHP system. Another product line is the high temperature PEM fuel cell stack and the system. Here's in the lower right corner here is the 2 kilowatts power generator based on high temperature PEM fuel cell stack. 500 hours continually running benchmark had been tested. It went through the test smoothly without any problem and avoids degradation. With those technologies and the products, we applied them to the 2 major areas. One application is for emergency and backup power, such as telecommunications, public exhibition, building construction at remote area, disaster rescue. The other application is for the primary energy supply, such as CHP for island, at remote area. This is our backup power generator with methanol reformer for China Tower base station. This product had worked at local base station for 1 year and also well recognized by the customer. Here is another demonstration, which is based on solid oxide fuel cell CHP. We are the only company who can keep running the system for more than 5,000 hours. The overall heating plus power efficiency of this system is around 87%. After the introduction of Minghua, I would like to share some thoughts of the hydrogen industry in China. 6 years ago in China, hydrogen is still treated as a chemical material or processed gas rather than the energy resource. Nowadays, hydrogen became a shining star in renewable energy field. But when we put eyes on the hydrogen energy, it's better to understand it in 3 levels. It is a nation level, region level, and company level. From the national perspective, China government announced to reach the carbon peak by 2030 and the carbon neutrality by 2060. This pledge brings a lot of pressure on fields that generate more carbon footprint. Transportation is, of course, the first target due to it is the largest source of carbon emissions. So at the national level, 10 cities and overall 10,000 fuel cell vehicle initiative is put on the agenda. This program put more attention on key components of hydrogen technology at first step and try to choose the region in nationwide who has a more advanced hydrogen supply chain and a healthy financial environments. At the lower right corner here, you will find the overall layout of the hydrogen energy in China. The right color means this area has more advanced and more good environment to develop the hydrogen at the first step. Due to the booming of the hydrogen energy in China, regional hydrogen development plans have been established across the country, across the whole country, including the key provinces such as Guangdong, Jiangsu, Shandong, Zhejiang, Shanghai, and Beijing. Shandong is more aggressive than other places. Recently, they just 4 cities in Shandong here, Qingdao, Zibo, Weifang, and Jinan. They just announced a 5-year hydrogen plan. They try to build up a hydrogen society in their region, which includes 1 hydrogen highway, 2 hydrogen harbors, 3 hydrogen science center, 4 hydrogen industry park, and 5 hydrogen communities. This plan covers not only transportation, but also the power generation, emergency backup power, and CHP. It is estimated that by 2030, 1 million tons of hydrogen will be consumed and reduce around 14 million tons of emission in this hydrogen society. Actually, from the enterprise level, although China is accelerating the research of and the application of hydrogen, but we're still facing many challenges. But at the same time, challenges are also opportunities. The overall hydrogen technology and the products need to be improved. Here, the challenges the company or the enterprise is facing, the infrastructure of the hydrogen, such as the hydrogen refueling station, the overall technology level, the standard. We still need more standard to make sure the road is flat, and also the patent in China. The weak supply chain, unclear policy, subsidy on hydrogen. The subsidy right now in China is most of subsidy is for the transportation purpose. So the subsidy should have balance, also balance on the stationary generation, and also the administration in the local and the regional government. Most of the leader in the government, they don't have a clear map of how to utilize the hydrogen in the local industry. And also, most people are talking about the gray hydrogen, blue hydrogen, and the green hydrogen. Those category actually affect the leaders' direction, how to build up the structure at their regional industry structure. That is the overall thoughts of our Minghua, and thanks for everyone. If you have some question, yeah, glad to be here to answer it. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Tony. That was extremely comprehensive and very interesting. So moving on to our next speaker, Ms. Mary Xu, who's the Vice President of Growth Technology Hydrogen Fuel Cell.
Hello, everyone. Thank you for Element Global for hosting this hydrogen webinar and giving us an opportunity to introduce Chinese hydrogen industry and the hydrogen development. Give you make a background about the government incentives, government policy, and what are some of the opportunities for both Chinese and Canadian companies to cooperate both in the market and in capital and capital investment. For Growth Technology, we are a hydrogen fuel cell system company, originally from Taiwan, but now our headquarters is in Shanghai. We started with the hydrogen technology fuel cell system, and our system now covers 15 to 60 kilowatt system. That is because with the development of hydrogen industry in China and the change of policy and the standards for hydrogen applications, especially in transportation, we have seen the increase of standards for hydrogen equipment in transportation. I still remember back in 2017 to 2018, there's a lot of transportation using hydrogen fuel cell system at like 30 kilowatt range. And then with the technology upgrading, especially by last year, the central government has issued a document called document 86, which has outlined like a roadmap for hydrogen industry from the central government level. And that is the signal towards both local government, towards all investor institutions and hydrogen companies from both the equipment companies, hydrogen production company, hydrogen storage, transportation as well. So before September 2020, hydrogen has been mainly used in transportation, and like for a majority of the regions like Guangdong province, Beijing, Shanghai, it is the fuel cell system company, fuel cell stack companies who were persuading or lobbying government to support hydrogen development. But after September 2020, hydrogen has been included into the national energy department. That means hydrogen is no longer just being used in transportation. It is on a large scale. It is like another alternative for new energy. It's a subsidy to traditional energy. So for our company, we started with just technology. We only have technology, and then we went through the capital market by raising capital through equity. In 2017, 2018, I've talked to about 200 in institutional investors to say they are interested about investing in this new hydrogen industry. I got a lot of feedback about whether hydrogen industry is the future new energy solution, but and a lot of institutional investors are concerned about the government's commitment towards hydrogen industries, both from central government and the local government. But by last year, after September 2020, the risks from the central government is eliminated. That gives both like investors like capitals more incentives or willingness to invest into our industry, which will make hydrogen companies easy to respond, to build the production facilities, to have enough funds to support continuous support R&D, to upgrade technology of hydrogen, and to increase the market influence, and also to give more support from both government and likewise. And then from the central government, from the policy level, central government already have a document. It is called the 13th Five-Year National Strategic Innovation Development Plan, which it is outlined that the fuel cell electronic vehicle industry to reach volume production and the large-scale operation by 2020. And also last year, it outlined the time for a demonstration period, which is from 2021 to 2023. What does that mean? That means the central government will put a lot of effort and capital into this industry to support companies, to support hydrogen infrastructures, to support hydrogen refueling stations, and to support the R&D hydrogen industries. In the next 3 years, we were likely to see a group for hydrogen demonstration cities. Right now, it looks like the first few hydrogen demonstration province or cities are gonna be Beijing, Shanghai, the Pearl River Delta, especially in Guangdong, Foshan, and Guangzhou, and that means if you are qualified for demonstration cities, you will get government support, capital support, and also local government support get to pump more capital into the application of fuel cell transportation. That means the government will have more budget to purchase fuel cell transportation, such as buses, especially buses, and to build more hydrogen stations, and to make like hydrogen demonstration projects. Because a lot of money from economic benefit. Currently, a regular bus, like a hydrogen fuel cell bus, is 1 or 2 times more expensive than the regular buses. So for us firm, a company in hydrogen industry, you have to persuade the government to give them incentives, to tell them why should they buy to replace the existing transportation like buses to fuel cell buses. You have to give government like a blueprint by supporting by giving demonstration contract. Firms will be able to have reach volume production, and then to decrease the total cost of hydrogen equipment, hydrogen use of hydrogen, to reach economies of scale. By then, like after 2 or 3 years later, hydrogen company will be able to enter into a commercialized market where we will have like market penetration. And then I see that might be an opportunity or a time for all international companies to enter or to compete, to have that market. This is my experience about the market in China. And a few takeaway, like a few advice I would give to Canadian companies or Canadian partners. If you are interested in Chinese market and you want to get a better chance to basically develop your own client, is first you have to choose the right region. Right now, the most developed area for hydrogen covers 5 provinces: Guangdong, Zhejiang, Shandong, Jiangsu, Hebei are the most developed regions of hydrogen. But there's each of them have its unique advantages, and the different key players in the region, like Beijing and Hebei, we already have a hydrogen system company. They are the first public company listed in Chinese stock market. They are called Yihuatong. It is a fuel cell system company. They have put a lot of effort in terms of lobbying government to have like policies support the application of fuel cell buses. And they have built first few hydrogen filling stations and set the national standards for hydrogen, like transportation standards, like subsidiary for refining stations as well. And the second city is Guangdong province. For Guangdong province, we have brought in Bala at early stage to work towards high performance fuel cell systems. This area have a lot of companies in the supply chain, from system to stack, and to the upper supply chain. But one of the shortcomings in Guangdong province is there's a lot of hydrogen demand companies, yet there's no hydrogen supply. So the current price of hydrogen in Guangdong it's like 15 to 18 Canadian per kilogram for hydrogen. That is way expensive from the operational level. If you are running a group of hydrogen fleet in this area, that means you cannot reach your cost even by using such high expensive such expensive hydrogen. And the other part is Shandong province. Shandong province has the most resource to support the development of hydrogen, because they have a lot of hydrogen from hydrogen byproduct from chemical factories like PDH, ammonia, like that. I've also been visited in a lot of companies in this region. And the last city is Zhejiang province. Zhejiang province is so different from the rest of the country. They are so active that the local government is more enthusiastic to figure out the hydrogen industry. Even without the central government policy, local government already spent a lot of money to do demonstration project in hydrogen, like hydrogen bus or hydrogen boat, hydrogen stationary hydrogen power station as well. So this is my advice for for companies or partners. If you are interested into the Chinese market, definitely choose the regions that have a more in-depth understanding about the industry, and financially the government is more feasible in terms of supporting the development of hydrogen. That's my presentation for today. And if you have more questions, we can discuss in the Q&A session. Thank you.
Great, thank you, Ms. Xu. And with that, we have reached the end of the of the presentations portion of tonight's session, but now we can move to the Q&A portion. And we have had a few questions coming in from chat. And as a reminder, we are doing our best to get through all of the questions, but we will be following up with any questions that we weren't able to get to. So the first one came from Maggie. This is, I guess, a broader question, around the energy plans within China. So the question is, given your commitment to reach greenhouse gas peak by 2030, as Mr. Li's presentation highlighted, you must have good reasons for increasing the number of coal plants and buying more coal from Australia on a 20-year contract. Are any of you able to share the reasons why we're seeing coal purchases from Australia entering into the China market? I'm not sure, Mr. Li, if you're able to speak to that, or anyone else on the panel.
So regarding the more coals imported from Australia, I'm not an expert. I mean, I know the China's already have enough coal. I know there is importation for coal, but I'm not quite clear about if there is the further needs from import from Australia. So that question.
Okay. If anyone else on the panel has an understanding of why we're seeing the interest in coal.
Maybe I can just give a few explanations about what's the government's perspective about whether we should increase the use of coal imported from Australia, or should we put more investment into the domestic infrastructure or domestic hydrogen production. From the government side, I guess with the economic development, there's a high need or high demand, both from the government level or the social society, to reduce the carbon emission and to reach carbon neutrality in 2060. Because I'm dealing with a lot of institutional investors, so I can feel that from the market or from the government side, by talking to a lot of local government, I've seen that the government officials have incentives to figure out the alternative ways to bring a new energy like hydrogens into the region. That is because maybe the KPI of the government officials, if they can decrease the carbon emissions. And also, we can see that in the future, the government is going to put like taxes or sanctions for companies who are using, like, have a lot of carbon emissions. And also I got information from my partners that for traditional manufacturers, like steel manufacturers, it is likely that in order to implement the 2030, 2060, like 2030 will reach carbon peak. By 2060, we'll have to reach carbon neutrality. The government will force companies to reduce carbon emissions by requesting companies like steel to reduce the production. That means by reducing production, that will decrease the equipment utility, also will decrease the revenue for the company, which in turn will decrease the profit. So from the company's side, they have an incentive to implement more new energy like hydrogen fleets or the use of hydrogen in exchange for in exchange for like the current production of the product. So I think in the future, it is not a trend for the government to increase the use of imported carbon from both the government side or the awareness of companies like the social corporate social responsibilities, and also the awareness of its people. Like there's a high demand for new clean energy, for sustainable energy solutions to support the economy. Yeah, that's my point of view.
Great. No, thank you. I'll move to the next question, and it's been partially addressed, I believe, maybe in the chat function, but we'll just make sure we have everyone's perspectives on the transportation methods that that are used within China. You know, interest here, obviously in Canada around pipelines, but in China, do we expect to see hydrogen pipelines or hydrogen blending with natural gas? I think that was briefly referenced in one of the presentations. Or will we just really see hydrogen being moved by trucks? I think Ronald and Tony, you both had some comments on that. Maybe I'll start with Tony. Anything further on how we expect to see hydrogen being moved? I think
Tony, you go ahead.
Oh, okay.
Tony, you go ahead. I'm going to add more.
Actually, the hydrogen is just actually a startup in China. We experienced the whole growth process of hydrogen as energy. Right now, the bottleneck to move to the next step is also the cost, the price of the hydrogen. So I think this is not the way the company can do that. This is the task for the government, for the country to do that, for the national enterprise. So if we actually solve this problem, they will be widely used for many scenarios. Not only for the transportation and also for the stationary application. Ronald.
So the infrastructure for the hydrogen transportation pipeline is very cost very much. So it's not by now it's not the phase to build up the large grid for the pipeline for transportation in that's very localized, such as for the larger scale of a chemical factory. So I visited 203, they have their own pipeline, but only within the short distance. For right now, the quick adoption is using the natural gas grid, which we can put the blending up to 10 or 11% of hydrogen into the grid, into the pipeline. And at the other end, we could separate the hydrogen for purifying the hydrogen from the pipeline. This is the one of a measure we could take in right now, but again, this is only the temperature way to try to speed up the use of hydrogen. It's not the long way or the finalized solution for that.
Great, thank you. And maybe a related question as well on the infrastructure we expect to see within China. There's a question from Claes around, will there be, a map that could be provided to companies, let's say in Canada, or organizations to understand where you see that growth being envisaged? We've heard about some of the key regions, but is there an infrastructure map that would be available that any Chinese organization may have been putting together? I'm not sure, either any of you could respond to that. Ronald, perhaps?
I'm not sure I get a point. Can you shorten it?
Yeah, I think will there be a map of where China expects to see hydrogen infrastructure put into place, whether it's pipeline infrastructure, refueling infrastructure, and so on?
Yes, in terms of like the government have a pledge to pay around 2030. The task is a tremendous, very difficult to reach that. We are going like can see like so bios. I mean, we would like to build up to reach the peak emission, the goal as soon as possible, but in a realistic point right now, the China has not yet reached that like an infrastructure level. For instance, if we put, I saw there is a question list like in the screen. Do you have like a time frame in what time period the China could use a hydrogen instead of like burning the coin for the steel manufacturing? So for instance, for this question, yes, they would like to do right now. And the steeling process technology is ready to go when the China already have partnership with Germany for that hydrogen in the steel process production. However, the cost of hydrogen is still too high. It's not economically available right now. So if it comes to if we come to the time frame, I would like to estimate in about 10 years, at least 5 years to reach the real step into the industry scale of application for that infrastructure. Okay.
Sure, if anyone else has any further comments on that infrastructure, we'll get back to other specific topics like ammonia in a moment. But one other question I do want to highlight from Andre is, over the next decade or so, do you see the main role for Canada in the development of China's hydrogen sector as that of a source of natural gas, for example, using in steam methane reformers, or as a source of hydrogen through ocean transport? Any thoughts on how China is looking at Canada as energy resource to solve its hydrogen challenges? Who would like to go on that? Mary or Tony?
Yeah, actually, I think that right now the government put more eyes on not the infrastructure of the hydrogen. They try to do that, but it's hard for them. Before that, they need to have a strong. Pardon. Hello?
Yeah, we hear you.
Okay. Before that, I think right now the government put more efforts to set up a whole structure of the hydrogen industry. Upstream is the hydrogen. Lower stream is the terminal and also maybe the equipment. So the hydrogen, there are 3 ways to generate hydrogen. One, you talk about the reformer. The other one is water electrolyzed, and another one is the hydrogen from the big industry byproduct. You talk about the shipping from the Canada by using the compressed and liquidized hydrogen. I think right now it's hard for the customer to accept the price of the hydrogen.
So I could add in more. For in terms of if we Canada would like to export the finalized product like gaseous hydrogen to China, technically is not doable because of the cost of transportation, unless when we use the technical we code LOHC, which means liquid organic hydrogen carrier. If we can have that technology get mature and we put it through the hydrogen gaseous capture into the liquid like water, easy for transportation until that technology available for Canada, then will be doable. So we know that Japan right now doing that way from Australia, import the gaseous hydrogen from Australia right now. So for time being, we don't think that technology have already into commercialized phases yet. Okay.
So that just relates, I think, to the other question we had around imports of hydrogen in those timeframes of 2025 and 2030, and where do you see ammonia fitting into those imports within those timeframes, or as liquid hydrogen? And particularly if there's any thoughts around the price that China organizations would be willing to pay for hydrogen in the form of ammonia or liquid hydrogen. So I'm not sure if anyone could expand a little bit further on that question.
So it must be Tony, ammonia, and you do some of like ammonia.
Actually, we didn't put more time on ammonia. We just used the actually reforming way to generate hydrogen. But ammonia, actually in China, ammonia is in large production. Only if the price shipping from Canada to China is lower than China, I think that's a good option for Canada to do that. That's just my personal comment.
No, Mary, anything from your perspective on?
I'm not sure about the cost of ammonia, but from a commercial side, let's just work like from the economic side, right? If the use of ammonia to generate hydrogen is the same as the use of like traditional diesel fuel, then I think that's possible, and it is likely that the business opportunities are going to happen in area where they have like the original liquid the port and the port where they can accept large containers. I think that might be an area for Canadian companies to enter into. It is easier than like the like Guangdong or Pearl River Delta area, or I think it might be a better way to enter into the market.
Just a question, again, Canada has quite a bit of experience on carbon capture and storage and using that to produce low carbon hydrogen, and just wondering if anyone has some thoughts on China's capacity for CO2 storage, using its geological formations to store CO2 that may be associated with hydrogen production from the natural gas feedstocks. Is that an area that's receiving much attention? I recall historically, I think China's CO2 storage may not be that strong, but I'm not sure if anyone's been looking into that could speak to CCS.
The China put, yeah, I'm going to a few words. China have emphasized the CCS, and it's definitely like in urgent needs of that technology or that kind of industry. So if the Canadian company have those kind of technology, I prefer the first to have a technology partnership. There will be no opportunities. Then the doing and the exporting some like the equipment or doing some engineering work. So we go like it's quite possible, is quite urgently need of those technology with the Chinese enterprises in application of the CCS.
Okay, so again, it sounds like geologically there is interest, but some expertise needed. Perhaps the Canadian expertise would be quite helpful for China.
Yes, definitely. Yeah.
Had a very specific question around Macau. I believe it's the municipality or the island of Macau, and whether it's utilizing hydrogen for power at this point in time or any plans forward. I'm not sure if anyone knows specifically what Macau might be thinking about there, but if anyone can comment.
Sorry, can you repeat your question?
I think it's the island of Macau, if I'm pronouncing it correctly, whether it's utilizing hydrogen for power at this point in time, or if it's trialing any technologies around hydrogen.
Right now, use the hydrogen for power generation. The price is still not a good for the customer, for the runner carrier. Only if the resource, I mean, such as methanol, the price is acceptable. Otherwise, it's no way to compete with the traditional generation here. But there's a special way to do that. It is the biomass. The reason we use the biomass because the biomass is the byproduct of many industry process, and also the biomass generation where you can get the subsidy from the government, from either the state government and also the local government. Only if the resource is free, maybe free is good for the generation. That's my comment.
Okay, we're probably just a couple more minutes for some final questions. I believe it was partially addressed by the timelines for converting steel production to hydrogen rather than using coal. If it was that 2030 or 2050 timeframe, I'm not sure if somebody can just confirm what the plans were. Ronald, did you have that in your presentation?
Yes, actually the government realized 85% of electricity generation must be turned from present the coal into the electricity. So those will be the great depend on how we get those electricity from the new renewable energy. So right now the things is not separately but related to each other, very much depend on. So China right now emphasized on the hydrogen making from a solar or from the wind energy, which turn on into they have the great need of the electrolyzer. So that's why the China has put a priority in electrolyzer, and which could use the solar and the wind energy. So in that field, Canada have an advantage of doing so. I do think so. Yeah, we have actually by hydrogenics and Cummins, we set up the largest one in Quebec, 20 megawatt, I think so. But use hydro, it's very easy to turn on use solar or use the wind. It's technically it's not a huge barrier for that.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Lee. I'm going to, the final question, maybe come back to infrastructure and really from the Canadian perspective. We know there's challenges obviously in transporting hydrogen from our region to global markets. So any of you can comment on whether Chinese companies are interested in investing in hydrogen infrastructure in Canada that could be used to deliver hydrogen to China, and how you see that opportunity coming about? I'm not sure, Mary, I know you spoke a bit to some of the collaboration opportunities, if you're able to speak to that one.
Yeah, for the hydrogen infrastructure investment opportunities, I think there's definitely opportunities to cooperate in the future. And but there's some challenges we have. I think it's more for different regulations for Chinese firms to invest into Canada for hydrogen infrastructure. And that the challenge is more from, I think, from the Canadian government. And that's a part for Chinese company. I think they are very eager to definitely to invest into the hydrogen infrastructure in Canada to bring a low cost hydrogen supply to support the use of hydrogen or the hydrogen applications in China. For that part, I think we have to collaborate working with each other to generate to generate investment opportunities. Because before I've had some international investment transactions in natural gas sectors. So I know from the companies' point of view, they are very enthusiastic to find and make a project that looks really good in terms of investment return, but they are facing a lot of challenges and uncertainties from government regulations. Yeah, that's my my idea.
Thank you. That's a great response. So, well, this brings our event to a close. Once again, I would like to thank all of our panelists, as well as the China Consulate, the Canadian Embassy team, and Mayor Natiu today for their participation in today's webinar. They certainly brought home some of the key opportunities and challenges associated with becoming a supplier of low carbon hydrogen and related technologies to the China market. We can certainly learn from China's plans as we look to understand the opportunities around hydrogen and the role it will play in this very large and influential economy. I'd like to thank our partners for their support in putting this event together and their help in promoting it, including Alberta's Industrial Heartland Association, the Transition Accelerator, the Government of Canada's Trade Commissioner Service, the Invest Alberta team in Alberta and in China, and others that are part of the Edmonton Region Hydrogen Hub. We will be posting a recording of this presentation on our website, and we'll share that link with all of you in the coming days. And over the coming months, the Hub will be hosting other webinars on key topics related to our hydrogen value chain. Please be sure to follow the Hub and Edmonton Global on LinkedIn and Twitter to keep up to date on these and other events. So once again, thank you for joining us for this evening or this morning if you're in Asia, and I hope you have a great rest of your day. Thank you.